Welcome, revolutionary mama, to the Raising Wild Hearts podcast. I'm Ryan Watkin, educator, mom of three, rebel at heart, and passionate soul on a mission to empower and inspire you. Here, we'll explore psychology, spirituality, parenthood, and the intersection where they all come together. We'll discover how challenges can be fertile soil for growth, and that even in the messy middle of motherhood, we can find magic in the mundane. Join me on my own personal journey as I talk to experts and share resources on education, creativity, self-care, family culture, and more. I believe we can change the world by starting at home in our own minds and hearts, and that when we do, we'll be passing down the most important legacy there is: healing. And so it is. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Raising Wild Hearts podcast. Thank you for being here. As always, I'm really excited, and I'm not even going to beat around the bush at all. Today, we have an amazing guest with us, and I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about himself. But what I can tell you is that he's the most decorated boxer in U.S. history, or most decorated amateur boxer in U.S. history. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And so initially when his people called my people to come on the pod, I was like, boxing, it wasn't an immediate no. And I'm like, what does boxing have to do with parenthood? And then for a second, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm in the ring every single day and getting knocked out at least once. So I think boxing is probably a pretty amazing metaphor for life in general, for parenthood, and really for whoever you are in whatever season you're in. So welcome to the podcast, Cam.
First of all, thanks for having me. The fact that I have people, I feel like I've made it.
Totally.
Really call people, but I feel good that you said that.
It's fun. Yeah, I love it. So I'm really, really excited for you to be here because I do think that any sport is a metaphor for life. And I think there are so many ups and downs. There are so many challenges, so many opportunities for resilience. And I'm curious, just to jump right off, I think as a mother, I realize that we can't teach resilience. We don't teach gratitude. We model it. So I'm curious, who modeled resilience for you in your life?
I would say probably my dad. Inadvertently, you know how whatever your parents do or think is not cool by default, just because. So growing up, I would always hear people like The Rock even has a story he came to America with $7 in his pocket. None of those stories were ever impressive to me because my dad did that. So I didn't really care. And if my dad could do it, it's not that special.
Yeah.
And I realized he came to America without an education, without knowing how America works. This is before the internet. You can't really find things out. He got a job for himself, worked, and brought his siblings over one by one over the course of 10 years.
Wow.
Started a family, makes a modest, low, middle income, income. But in his mind, he's a multimillionaire compared to where he grew up with dirt floors and stuff like that. So he's living his dream. If he could come to America and accomplish all of this, I should be able to do all the same things he can because I have home field advantage. I'm a citizen.
Yeah.
So I would say partly immigrant mentality gave me the resilience. It's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I was captain of the USA national boxing team for about 12 years, and I got to travel to over 30 countries. And boxing it's known as a poor man's sport. Throughout history, the most disenfranchised group held the most championships, and boxing gyms are always in the worst neighborhoods, right? There's no different outside of the country. So when we go to countries to fight, when we go to Dominican Republic, we don't go to the nice part of DR. We go where the fighters are.
Yeah.
We go to their grocery stores. We sleep in the place where they sleep. And I realize there's levels to poverty.
Mm-hmm.
In the US here, our homeless people have cell phones. And when I say that, no one thinks, oh, well, they shouldn't have cell phones. No, I agree. They should have cell phones. I don't care if they have cell phones. That's how great America is.
Right. It's all about
We
perspective.
we pee in potable water
Right. Right.
every day. We don't even think
Right.
about it.
Yeah. So going to 30 countries has given you this like new lens. Also, you saw your dad come over as an immigrant. You saw him just like pull his bootstraps up and make it work. Like, what age were you when you remember being like, my dad is a badass? Like, did it take you till later in life? Or were you a kid being like, whoa?
Probably like during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You don't
Thank you for
appreciate
being
anything your
honest.
parents are doing. You don't appreciate
Totally.
anything your parents do. We're anti-fragile, which means the more we go through, the stronger we become. So there's a book somewhere over there. I should quote the author, but it's called Anti-Fragile. And he came up with this whole concept of the more the human body goes through, the stronger you become.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ingest 10 milligrams of poison, your body will fight it off and be prepared next time for 15 milligrams of poison. So that's the idea. The more you go through, the stronger you become. But your body can never be ready for 100 milligrams of poison if it doesn't first through those stages of pain.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we go through, the stronger we become. I am who I am because of my failures, because of my wins, my losses. The things I've gone through made me who I am, even the most painful things. So the more you go through, the stronger you become. How much are you willing to let your child go through?
Are you asking me, or is that a rhetorical question?
Both.
So I love that, because I told somebody the other day, I said, if I could bubble wrap my kids, I would. And I didn't mean it from like my kids climb trees. They're very wild. They're very adventurous. Like, I'm not a helicopter mom. I want them to take calculated risks. I think risks are an important part of childhood. I've gone kind of in an alternative route of education, so I'm like down with that. However, I do want to shield them a little bit from war, from, famine, from some of these concepts that are so like deep that I don't know that they can wrap their brains around. So how, it's so interesting, because I think that's our greatest dilemma as parents is their struggle is not our struggle. We need to like separate that they have their journey and we have ours.
One of the things in the athlete world that people like to point out is that Michael Jordan was cut off of his middle school basketball team. Have you heard of that one?
No.
He was cut off his middle school basketball team. And that's what like drove him to like get on the team next year. And it like made him this unstoppable. The pain he felt from not even being able to sit on the bench the entire year drove it put this drive in him. Now, what if he didn't make the team and then his parents showed up and try to convince the coach to at least let him sit on the bench?
Oh yeah. And his mama looked fierce too. We just watched that movie Air, which was pretty good. We liked that. But she seemed like super down to earth though, it's a movie, but I love that. That's great. Like in an era where we're kind of like giving out third place trophies or participation trophies, I think that this grit muscle, this like persistence muscle, we've been talking about persistence a lot. My two older kids are 6 and 8. And so they're starting to grasp like not giving up when something is hard, right? I love that though. Like, I'm like, you are persistent. And so they're like, one day my oldest said, well, what does persistent mean? I'm like, I'm so glad you asked. And so we really talked about sticking to something, because I see them each having their own struggles now as it is. And there's this fine line between like, you started this game, you're going to finish this game. And like, oh, you don't feel like playing the game. Okay. And there's like constantly this like line that we're towing to push a little bit and then back off a little bit.
Yeah. The idea is you want your child to believe in themselves and know that they're capable. I'm going to throw out a concept that I don't want anyone to agree with me. I just want to challenge the way we think.
Let's do it.
So my name is now legally Cam F. Awesome. I legally changed my name in 2012. I qualified for the 2012 Olympic team for Team USA, but then I got suspended and kicked off the Olympic team for not filling out paperwork. I left the country to fight in Azerbaijan after winning the Olympic trials, a country I've been to 3 times but still cannot spell without spell check. I forgot to tell the drug testing agency I was leaving the country. And even though I got drug tested to even fight in this tournament in Azerbaijan, the rules were the rules. And I got suspended and kicked off the Olympic team for a year. This was, of course, wasn't even a real offense. It was after Lance Armstrong went on Oprah. They made an example out of some athletes. I was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was so cocky. I was getting ready to go to the Olympics. I was feeling myself. I thought I was the man because I had this newfound confidence. I got this confidence because in high school, my boxing gym was 6 miles away from my high school. And I had to walk 6 miles every day. It took me 3 hours. And this is before we had music on our phone. So I had an MP3 player and I didn't always have music. So I didn't have batteries for music. So I just had to make up stories while I walked. And I developed, I don't know why, but I developed this habit of making up stories about boxing on my walk. And I was kicking butt in all these stories. I was winning all my fights. I was knocking people out. I was traveling across the world. I had all the money. I had all the girls. None of this was true. But for 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week, I thought this. And I went from being this unconfident kid to this super cocky, arrogant almost. Like I was so sure I was going to win. And then I wouldn't win. Like, so I wasn't wrong, which just made me more confident. And then, and I was proving so many people wrong. I had haters, I had doubters. It didn't matter. I was winning everything. And then I got kicked off the Olympic team. And all those people that I was proving wrong got the last laugh, didn't they? I was so mad at myself. I was beating myself up. And it was such a change. My internal dialogue was such a change from what it had used to be. Because before it was, you're the man, you're the man, you're the man. And now it's, you're so stupid. You can't believe you forgot to send an email. And of course, the headlines read that I failed to meet drug test requirements. But that's not what people are going to read. They're going to say, oh, he failed the drug test. So everyone's like, oh, he's on drugs. And so I had embarrassment on top of that. I was beating myself up and I realized I had to get back to boxing because I dropped out of college for boxing. So I put all my eggs in this basket. I got to go hard. So I had to return back to boxing, but I would get back to working out. I'd work out for a couple of days and fall off and work out for a couple of days and fall off. And I would beat myself up over it every time. And then I had this thought that changed my life. I should stop beating myself up. I know you were probably expecting something crazier, right? But just something just as simple as that. Because I thought about me right then versus me walking to school back in 12th grade. One of us liked me. And I realized I was humbled by life. Ryan, do you have your phone on you or something you could Google?
Yeah.
Could you Google the word humble?
Yeah, we're going to do definitions here. I love words. Origin.
So do you believe words are powerful?
I do, yeah.
So your 6-year-old, let's read this definition and think about your 6-year-old.
Humble, having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance.
Now, Ryan, would you wish that on your daughter?
No.
Okay, maybe that's a fluke. Read me the second definition.
Offered with or affected by a modest estimate of one's own importance. Oh, that was the one I already did. Of low social, administrative, or political rank. And then the third one.
Does that one sound good?
No. And then the third one is of modest pretensions or dimensions. Okay.
So if you were actually to look any further in it and you were to check out the synonyms to the word humble, they're not good. The Latin root word is lowly.
Right.
If you ever wonder why the word humility and humiliate are so close, I don't believe being humble is a positive virtue. Now, being humble in the eye of the Lord, yes, of course, if that's your beliefs, I respect everyone's beliefs. But Ryan, last time I checked, that wasn't you.
Right.
So why would I have to be humble around you?
Oh, that's so interesting. So
who does being humble serve? Is my question.
Hey, it's me, Ryan. So something I do every single day to invest in my growth, besides connecting with the humans on this podcast, obviously, is reading. Reading is where it all started for me. I was 5 when I became obsessed with books, writing them, reading them, collecting them. I love how I can get inspired with new ideas and stories and ways to grow. That's why I ask all my guests what they're reading. And finally, you can check out all the book recommendations from the experts and authors on the show in one place at raisingwildhearts.com/books. There are some life changers in there like You Are the Placebo, and a few hidden gems like Sacred Motherhood and Living, Loving, and Learning. So if you want to get your hands on your next great read, check out the full list by heading to raisingwildhearts.com/books. Okay, back to the show. I guess in a way it's serving others. You're thinking that others are better than you maybe, or you're thinking that you should keep yourself small so that others will feel uncomfortable, or I don't know. I'm not sure.
So I think I'm awesome, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't, I'm here, you're here.
Yeah.
Now, you ever have news that you like something good happened to you and there's certain people you don't share it with?
Yeah. Sure.
Because you don't want to make them feel bad. So you're here, and what you do is you you humble yourself. You make yourself lower so you can make them feel better. Misery loves company.
Yeah.
If we have to behave at the lowest common denominator, then we all have to pull ourselves down. But the thing is, right, thinking highly of yourself is free. I want you to meet me up here. I want you to think better of yourself. Yes, I think I'm awesome. That's why I changed my last name to Awesome.
Yeah.
I do think I'm awesome, but I also think you're awesome too.
Think about the bucket of crabs where one crab gets out and the other crabs pull them down and they're like, no, come back down with us. That's immediately what I think about. I'm like a visual, metaphorical thinker, I guess. But yeah, I think that's great. I've never explored the origins of that word. So when you were beating yourself up, after that, you forgot to sign this paperwork, and then people are talking about how you didn't pass the drug test. Like, how'd you bounce back up? It was just that thought of like, I don't have to beat myself up anymore.
Well, I lost a bet and I had to be vegan for 28 days.
And now you're still vegan, aren't you?
I'm still vegan.
Yeah.
But the diet entails sobriety. And this is the first time during my suspension I had to be sober because I started drinking right away. I gained a lot of weight. I was very unhealthy. And this kind of got me back into being more of a positive person. I realized energy is real. So, and of course you can eat what you want, do what you want. I don't judge. But the reason why I'm still vegan because I said I would be vegan until I found a reason not to be. I just keep finding more reasons. But if you hunt, whatever, cool. But most food comes from factory farming. So just an animal locked in a cage its entire life and it's around its own poop and all that. Now, right before it dies, it's screaming for its life. As bad as that sounds. And then you consume that energy.
Right. Yep.
That's not the type of energy I want to put in my body. And since then, I was very conscious of what I was consuming, not just food, TV, media, social media, music. I talk at schools now about social media, and people say that social media is negative. I disagree. I think people are negative and they're trying to blame something as cool as social media for their problems.
Yeah.
Every fifth post on Instagram or just use Instagram. Every fifth post is an ad.
Yeah.
Instagram is worth billions of dollars. That means 20% of your timeline is worth billions of dollars. What value are you getting out of the other 80%?
Right.
And I ask that to students. And I'll let them know whatever you follow is what you're going to get. So if you follow Waffle House fights, what do you think you're going to see? If you follow the news, when people watch the news, anyone who watches the news, I ask, have you taken any direct action based off information you've received in the last 7 days? Because if you haven't, that's not information. That's entertainment.
That's right.
I don't know what's going on in the world. I'm alive.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, like all the time I'll say, when we look in our own lives, our own daily lives, the people we interact with, our neighbors, the, person who is checking us out at the grocery store, the people that we see on a daily basis, our family, our friends, like what's true for us, on a daily basis. It's certainly not people screaming at each other like you see in social media. I mean, that's not even, I don't even think it's real. Like, it doesn't even, I'm like, this isn't even real. People don't treat each other like this. What?
Right. Think about it like this. And I'm a conspiracy guy, whatever.
Sure, sure.
But let's say that you own Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And every fifth post was an ad. You don't really care what those 4 posts in between are. You just make your money
Sure.
off those fifth posts.
Right, right.
And you had the ability to program robots to argue with people, to generate more posts to get more fifth
Gosh,
posts.
it's right.
Do you
Right, right.
think someone might do something like that?
Right. I do. I mean, I think that people are good deep down. I really do. But then I also think that just divine law, like everything is perfect. And there are people doing that. There are people,
They're bot farms.
wanting to see people not succeed. There are people who want to see us disempowered, unhappy, and
So I don't even think it goes that deep. It's just so the people who own Twitter or whatever, they don't care what comes of it. They just care about the fifth post.
yeah,
And the only thing that will get people riled up is something controversial. So that's why they keep feeding us controversial stuff.
right.
It's the polarization is what keeps us alive, like keeps the economy going. It's the reason why we only have 2 political parties. It's too binary. That's why I don't even talk politics, because you have to directly disagree with someone to show your beliefs.
That's
And
right.
I'm not playing that part. I'm not playing that game.
I agree with you on that 100%. I think it's too divisive, and it's divisive by nature. It's supposed to be divisive.
So this is another. So I do stand-up comedy, and I didn't want to do open mic nights because they're usually late at night and no one's paying attention to you.
Yeah.
So I would save the last 5 minutes of each school assembly to try out new jokes. That way I would skip open mic nights. And then I realized students liked the jokes more than they liked the speech. So now I just do a one-man comedy show at schools, and all my jokes have morals and messages attached to it.
Yeah.
So one of the big things I end with at these school assemblies is my gratitude practice. So during the pandemic, I had this thought: we read books, right? Because we want someone's opinion, we want their advice, we need their insight. And then we buy their book, and then we get to the end of the chapter, and then it says, "Hey, do this action statement before you go any further." Ryan, what do?
We turn the page and read the next chapter. We don't do anything.
How many books have you not gone back to?
A lot.
Me, all of them.
All of them. Yeah. Most of them.
Me, all of them. So during the pandemic, I decided the next book I read, I was just going to do everything. And I had free time. I had to be Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, that's on my bookshelf. Yep.
It's a little woo-woo for my taste.
It is woo. Yeah, it is.
I'm not that type of guy, but I committed. Just like being vegan, I committed to see what it would do for me. If I'm going to do something, just commit.
Yeah.
So I took my girl's lipstick. I had stuff written on the bathroom mirror.
Yeah.
I still got Post-it notes everywhere. I write in journal. It worked. Basically, you think about money enough, you get money.
That's right.
You think about money enough, you get opportunities for money.
Yeah.
That's basically what the book is.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, because I was sad during the pandemic, you're isolated. So I figured, if I could do this with money, let's see if I can do it with happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided every morning. So I'm not even wearing the socks right now, but there's a company called Notes to Self. I don't have any of the stuff here, but she started a company, and she puts positive affirmation on socks.
Oh, cool.
Because your brain is more receptive to information, not positive or negative, just information first thing in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And I had thought, like, well, what's the first thing I do in my morning? So your alarm clock goes off, you hit snooze, you do math in 9-minute increments, then you check your notifications. And if you know about the news, if it bleeds, it leads. The timeline is the worst gets shown first.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up, you stretch, you yawn, and then you start downloading negative information to your brain when it's most receptive.
Mm-hmm.
The foundation of your day is filled with negativity.
Yeah.
Every time I get on Twitter, #RIP, someone I grew up loving.
Uh-huh.
It's like people die every day nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, they've always died every day? It's just now that we're fully aware of it immediately. So I decided every morning before I look at my phone, I would write a list of 10 things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for my washer. I'm grateful for my dryer. Those are two different things. You should be grateful that you don't have to go to the laundromat.
Mm-hmm.
You can be grateful for everything.
Yep.
I don't repeat anything on this list.
Wow.
My challenge was do this for 30 days. And I challenge students to do this for 30 days.
Yeah.
Every day you come up with 10 new things. Because I call this challenge 300 reasons. Because after 30 days, you have 300 reasons why you should wake up on day number 31.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to be honest, it's after about 2 weeks, it got increasingly difficult to come up with 10 new things.
Yeah.
So, and I really want to look at my phone. So I found a cheat code. I looked for things throughout my day to be grateful for, stored in my memory, call it delayed gratification, so I can write my list faster in the morning so I can look at my phone. Complete side note. I love conspiracy theories. I don't necessarily believe in them. I just like to know about them.
Yeah.
So I like TikTok rabbit holes. Give me pyramids, give me aliens, give me JFK. I don't think the earth is flat, but I want to know why someone else would.
Right.
And I was going down one of these and I found out about your RAS, your Reticular Activating System. Are you familiar with this?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll do my best to basically describe my version of it. So your brain takes in billions of bits of information every moment, not every second, every moment. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of moments. So the way your brain works is your unconscious mind filters this information through your RAS. So basically what you seek is what you will find. Perfect example of this, if you go shopping for a yellow car, you don't buy one, but after that, you start seeing yellow cars everywhere. Mm-hmm. If something like that ever happened, you have an RAS. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not that someone painted all those cars yellow. Those cars were always there. But your brain sees so many cars that it can't possibly show you all of them because you can't be productive on your task. Mm-hmm. Shows you the cars you're looking for. And the second you said, hey, I'm looking for a yellow car, then your brain's like, oh, yellow car, yellow car, yellow car, yellow car, yellow car. It just took a little bit of effort to tell your brain to look for yellow cars and you couldn't stop seeing them. Do you think it's funny how the car that you drive?
I think about, my older two are having like this sibling squabble season, let's call it. And so I'm constantly seeing these like sibling squabbles, but like in reality, 85% of the time, they're like lovely with each other, but it's that 15% that, I get a little emotionally riled up and then I keep seeing the 15% because that's bias. What I'm expecting. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking of, like from a parenthood lens. I'm like, okay, so if I assume positive intent and I see and try to look for and notice the 85% where they're, calm, happy, playing together, then that's what I'll see.
What I wanted to talk to parents about is normalizing certain behaviors before their kids know any better. Your 4 and 6 year old, if you start every morning, of course, they don't have to start with 10 things they're grateful for, but they can write 3 reasons why they're in a good mood. Yeah. And call it to explain that's what grateful is. Yeah. Every morning they do that while they're eating cereal. As they get older, you maybe move it up to 5 because then they'll be excited. Oh, they're a big girl. They're a big boy. I can move up to 5. Yeah. You eventually move up to 10 and they do 10 things every morning and you do it with them. By the time they're old enough to have their first sleepover, they're going to find it odd that their friends aren't waking up and writing stuff in a journal.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the reason why I share this is one of the big lines of my speeches is, if you can fail without being discouraged, success becomes inevitable. So we don't quit when we fail. We quit when we get discouraged. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us get discouraged before we even start. Mm-hmm. So we don't. And as soon as something doesn't go our way, it seems like with kids, as soon as something doesn't go their way, they get a little frustrated. Mm-hmm. But we do that as adults too. Oh, yeah. We get a little frustrated. Yeah. If you can train yourself to be in a better mood, to be more positive and become less frustrated, you'll be a happier person. You'll be more likely to succeed in things because you'll be less likely to quit. Yeah. And this gratitude practice will help you become more of a positive, more positive, more resilient person. So the idea of resilience is really just being positive. I built my boxing career off of wearing pink short. I wear a pink skirt. I find a pink skirt and I flip in the ring. I have fun with it because even if I lose, it's not the end of the world. And the reason why I'm the most decorated boxer in US history is not because I have the best record. Now, I've lost a bunch. It was just, I just haven't quit. I have more fights than everyone else. That's actually the secret to it.
Wow. So you really got to put yourself out there. And like, I just think about, I mean, me as a 40-year-old adult, like I do get discouraged. And, we were playing Scrabble yesterday and my oldest was looking at her sister's score and she's like, oh, I could tell she was getting so annoyed that her sister was winning and that she wasn't. And I said, listen, we can play this game and have fun, or you can play this game and keep looking at everybody else's points and have it not be fun for you. And she's like, oh, okay. Like she like got it, like it clicked. Right. But then I'm still like, I'm looking at everybody's points too, like we do this. I'm a big emotions girl. I love, the nuances of emotions. I love that we can feel an emotion and really like we can feel discouraged for 20 seconds and then move on. So what's that process for you when you lose, when you are discouraged? Is it 20 seconds moving on? Is it like you go to the gym and throw some heavy shit around? Like what does that look like for you?
I do. So I have a math equation. 1 + 2 = 3. I figured out this equation when I was 14 years old. It was explained to me how calories work. You consume about 2,000 calories a day. You burn about 2,000 a day. You break even.
Mm-hmm.
So the equation is if you burn more calories than you consume, you will lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever diet you want to do, every diet in the world, if you strip it down, that's all it is. That's all a diet is. It's just different ways to burn more calories than you consume. So my goal, I wanted to lose weight. So I went out, I was a cool kid. So I decided I was going to wake up before school and rollerblade for an hour every day. I did it 6 days in a row. And no one stopped me and said, hey, Cam, I can tell you're losing weight. Keep up the good work. And by day number 7, I was like, I'm sore. I'm tired. I'm waking up early. Is this worth it? But the only way to lose weight is the equation 1 + 2 = 3. If the math works, and I guess I didn't gain all the weight in 6 days, I just have to keep going. And that was the first time I dealt with the concept of delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you don't deserve something. Michael Jordan didn't make that team because he didn't deserve to be on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Your daughter was losing in that game because she doesn't deserve to win. She didn't do what you need to do to win. Mm-hmm. Now, the way I look at that is when I would see that as a kid, if I'm down, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start studying the dictionary to learn all the 2-letter words.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to be better than everyone.
Yeah.
So in 6th grade, I went to the Scrabble state championships.
You did? Wow.
It was the first time I ever made it on Google.
That's cool.
I beat everyone in my school, everyone in my middle school and high school. I was in 6th grade. And I went to the state championship and I took 3rd to last place. It was terrible. But my way of looking at things was like, oh, you just have to be better. And I saw it's of course, some people are born in better positions than other people in life, but that's something called pocket watching. If you're counting someone else's money, you're not focused on your own. You don't have to worry about what other people's going through in their situation. Some people were born with the ability to walk.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't born with the ability to walk, are you just going to stay still and complain that everyone else can walk? No, everyone's dealt certain cards. You got to play with them, and you have to do the best with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of this equation is when I would lose. So the way I thought of this equation was 1 + 2 = 3. In this equation, you are 1. You should always be your own number 1. No one's going to believe in you until you believe in yourself. In this equation, number 3 is the outcome, the objective, the goal. What do you want? The 2 in this equation is the work you have to do to get it. Now, you mentioned that you love emotions, right? Here's the thing. This equation doesn't have room for your emotions. Emotions are fleeting.
Uh-huh.
Think about a breakup, right?
Yeah.
You broke up on Tuesday, you're like, I hate this person. On Wednesday, you're like, I guess it wasn't that bad. On Thursday, you're like, I guess it was my fault. On Friday, you're like, I think I miss this person. On Sunday, you're like, I hate this person. On Monday, you're like, I wonder if I should text him and get my stuff back. You can't make a decision based off your emotions.
Right.
Because emotions are just so fleeting.
Right. Yeah.
And being discouraged, that's just an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
In actual reality, your emotions do not matter. I value mental health, but I do not value your feelings. because they're not here for long. That math equation, 1 + 2 = 3. So in boxing, I thought 1 + 2 = 3. I'm 1. 3 is winning in boxing. 2 is not getting hit. The reason why I call 2 number 2 is because it is the way it sounds. It's the shitty part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
It's the part you don't want to do. Now, you can be hungry when you do number 2. You can be sad when you do number 2. You can be mad. You can be frustrated. You can be hot. You can be cold. It don't matter. You got to do number 2.
Right.
1 + 2 = 3. When I lose, I look at the drawing board and I'm like, oh, I'm upset that I lost. I'm pissed that I lost. Don't take me to game night because I need to win everything. And when I don't, I get very upset. But I don't get upset at other people. I don't get upset at the situation. I'm just upset because it's my emotions. I invested so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I look back at the equation. Oh, look, I didn't deserve to win. I wasn't good enough. I lost the box match. I wasn't good enough. Maybe I didn't train hard enough. I have to objectively go look at things and see, okay, how can I do number 2? How can I work on not getting hit better? Do I need to work on better defense? Do I need to have better strength and conditioning? Again, none of this is me based on what other people are doing. It's what I am doing. It's what I have control over.
Right.
Another thing that I realized that I don't know how to quite explain, but think of anyone that has accomplished anything great that you admire. Did that person practice moderation?
No.
I believe moderation leads to mediocrity. Michael Jordan, obsessed. If you want to be great at something, you have to be better than other people, and you have to do that equation harder than anyone else. The more time you invest, 10,000 hours.
Yep.
The reason why I have so many boxing matches is this is my thought process before I knew about the 10,000-hour rule. If you have 100 boxing matches and I have 3 boxing matches and we fought, who do you think is going to win? The person with more boxing matches, the person with more experience. So I thought, okay, I was like, I'm not a good boxer.
Yeah.
But I said, if I can the average boxer has about 40 fights in their career. I thought, well, if I can get 200 fights, I'm just going to be more experienced than everyone else.
Right.
So the reason why I won so much is I was just more comfortable in the ring. I had more hours.
Right.
When I decided to transition from boxing into public speaking, I understood the 10,000-hour rule. All these speakers are like, all these people reach out to me like, how do you become paid as a speaker? I want to get good.
Yep. Get
undeniably good. And my way of doing that was in 2017, I bought a van because someone made a joke that since I'm a motivational speaker, I should live down by the river. And I was like, that's actually a good idea. And I bought a van because that way I wouldn't have to pay for flights, hotels, and rental cars.
Right.
And I travel around the country speaking at 200 schools a year.
Wow.
I spoke so much, so often. For every school I spoke at a Title I or low-income school for free, just so I can get more stage. I emceed vegan festivals for free. Why? Because I'm on stage for 8 hours a day for a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
That's 24 hours closer to my 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
So after doing that for 3 or 4 years, Ryan, when I get on stage, I'm very comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm dope.
Right.
I have a confidence about me, not for no other reason besides the fact that I deserve it. I put in the work.
Yeah.
But before I put in the work, when I was first getting on the stage, I wasn't this confident. I was nervous because I wasn't that good. Yeah. No one's good at first. Everyone sucks at first. You have to be willing to suck long enough to become good.
Right. Everything's hard until it's easy. I mean, yeah, I love that. That's such a perspective shift for me. In kind of a challenging season. I've got 3 little kids. It's tough. And I think shifting that perspective in just like going in the ring every single day, the longer I do it, the better I get. I learned patience. I've learned to regulate my breathing. I've learned, mostly not to yell. I've learned all these different things that like make a good parent. What was little Cam like? I know he went to the Scrabble championship when he was in 6th grade, but what was little Cam like?
Lil Cam dealt with bullying.
Yeah.
There was a bully that lived, so I lived on New Street. It was a very long block. The end of the block was the elementary school and Smith Street School. And I would have to walk by his house to get to school. And he bullied me on the block. He'd also bully me in school. Mm-hmm. And it got so bad to the point that they would let me leave school 15 minutes early so I can get home before he got to me. Mm-hmm. As an adult, I look back at them like, is that how we handle that situation.
Right.
But because of that, I developed this anxiety that I was going to get beat up everywhere. So I had this
Right.
fear I was going to. So I volunteered in the nurse's office during lunch because I was afraid to be in the lunchroom because the way I said it, I felt clammy around too many people,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know what anxiety was. And eventually, like my fear was I was always going to get beat up, and I was always on edge. And in ninth grade, I got beat up by a girl, which was like my worst fear. That was the first month into high school.
Oh man. Way to kick it off.
Way to kick it off.
Oh man.
Yeah. So the reason why I joined the boxing gym was I wanted to learn how to defend myself, to protect myself. And it just the weight insecurities, because again, I was rollerblading because I wanted to lose weight because people would make fun of me because of my weight. And so just insecurities and wanting to protect myself.
Yep.
So I talk to I talk at schools when I talk about lift, lower, and leave. Everyone we meet in life, you have three options. You can lift, lower, or leave them.
Mm-hmm.
Every human interaction. I'm a lifter. When you see me, I'm all smiles, high five, elbows, fist bumps, chest bumps. I want to lift other people up. But if I'm being real, I don't got it in me every day.
Right.
Sometimes I'm hangry.
Right. Me too.
I ain't trying to deal with this shit when I'm hangry.
Right. Right. I don't want to lift you up while I'm angry. Yeah.
And the thing is, naturally, when we're hangry, we want to lower other people down. Again, we want to pull them down to where we are.
Yep.
In those moments, instead of lowering someone, you could just leave them where they are.
Mm-hmm.
I tell kids just be a lifter or a leaver.
Right. Yeah.
Take zero effort to leave someone where they are.
Zero. Yeah.
One of the things that a challenge that I tell students to do is think about, like, next time you're mad and you're going to respond to someone, open up the notes in your phone immediately and write everything you're going to say.
Yep.
And then wait 72 hours.
Yep.
And then copy and paste that message and put it in the text box. Would you hit send?
No.
Well, you'll go back and you'll change a couple sentences because, you're not as mad.
Sure. Yeah. After some revisions, maybe.
And another 7 days, you'll go back and change some more things because you're not that mad.
Yeah.
And after 2 weeks, you'd make so many revisions that you're like, oh, I guess I don't really have to send this message.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't just mean that for children. We need to do it as adults too.
Absolutely.
Don't respond to the comment.
Yep.
Don't respond to the DM.
Yep.
Don't be gaslit. You don't need to participate.
Right. Oh.
I get parents who tell me, like, how do I get my kid to put down their phone and pick up a book? And I say, hey, mom, how many books have you read this year?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because your kids don't have ears. They only have eyes.
Yep. They're not going to do what we tell them to do. They're going to do what they see us doing. Bottom line, hands down. And, they are, fortunately and unfortunately, like little mirrors. And if we will allow to see if we'll allow ourselves to see our reflection, then that's such a beautiful gift. Is it fun? No. Is it warm and fuzzy? Absolutely fucking not most of the time. But it is very valuable. And if you take a good, hard, honest look at that mirror, then you'll see what you can shift to be a better human. And that's like one of the biggest gifts that being a parent can bring. And, it's not easy, but it is valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And just remember, you won't get thanked now. You get thanked years from now.
Years. I mean, you were in your 30s when you figured out that your dad was a badass, right?
And I still didn't even tell him.
And you still didn't even tell him. See, maybe that'll come in your 40s. I know. Isn't that funny? Yeah. This whole being human thing is just it's such a ride.
Have you reached the age where you accidentally start doing and saying things your parents do and you feel gross inside?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
the things that we said we would never do. Yeah. And, my husband does it too. And we'll kind of like not make fun. We'll be silly with each other and do it. And then we'll be like, hey, actually, I don't really like that. Like, actually, don't say that. I don't want to sound like my dad or my mom or whatever it is. But yeah, totally. We do it because, again, before the age of 7 years old, we're just sponges. Our subconscious is just downloading all the programs around us. So like those ages, even, in the womb, like we're just like the energy, like you said, you believe in energy. We're absorbing the energy. We're absorbing the way to deal with emotions, to deal with conflict, to do, all these things. So we grow up and we're 30 and 40 and 50, but we're still acting like we're 7. And, when we allow ourselves to look at that and reprogram ourselves, like that's the work. That's why I'm here, So.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, totally. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to, as we wrap up, just ask you the 3 questions that I ask everybody. But before I do that, what's something that you wish people would ask you more about?
Internal dialogue and self-belief. I think with the RAS, it's everything is just confirmation bias. Anything you like, the yellow car, anything you want, you will find if you think about it enough. And a lot of us don't deem ourselves worthy of certain things. And then we see someone else surpass us and like get that promotion or get that raise or get that grade. And you're like, oh, why can't I do that? And it's like, you don't think you deserve it. You don't think you're worth it. And it's probably because of your inner dialogue. There are a lot of people we see that who just feel entitled to get certain things. You're like, why do they feel so entitled? And also, why do they keep getting everything they feel entitled for? Because you are humble. And we've been conditioned to be humble. It's not something that it's easy for me. This is something I'm constantly working on. That's why I'm constantly working on my inner dialogue. I don't always think I'm awesome. And not every day's perfect.
Sure.
But it's a constant reminder of myself that I have to be my own biggest fan.
Yeah.
And yeah, no one's going to want my success more than I will. And if you want your child to love yourself, you have to show them what it looks like to love yourself.
Amen. Oh, so good, Cam. So what's bringing you joy today?
Ooh, so funny. I can tell you 10 reasons right now.
Yes.
I I'm grateful for my talk with Jesse at the gym yesterday. So Jesse's a guy that I met in one of these online business classes, and he actually lives like 30 miles away. So we meet about once a month, just talk about business and stuff. And for the first time we didn't just talk about business, we talked about like personal life and relationships. And I shared stuff with him and he shared stuff with me. I was like, I did not expect to have this conversation with him. And it was just such an enlightening conversation that I put in my journal. Side note, anytime I put a name in my journal, I have to reach out to that person that day out of context and tell them that I love them.
Oh, I love that.
I started doing this during the pandemic because if you can just write any name in the book, you just write 10 random names with no intention.
Yeah.
But today I reached out to Jesse. I sent him a text, like, woke up this morning. Hey, bro, love you. Thanks for everything. Thanks for a conversation. That brings me joy.
Yeah.
When he gets that message, that's going to bring him joy. He's going to respond. That will bring him joy. It would also bring me joy. I've been doing this since July 26th of 2021. I haven't run out of things to be grateful for. 10 things every morning. Mm-hmm. The more you seek, the more you will find. And that's just 1/10 of the things I was grateful for before 7 a.m. this morning.
That's awesome. Love it. What, if anything, are you reading right now?
I am reading Supernatural.
Dispenza?
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Supernatural. I have Breaking, because I got 3 of his books out. You Are the Placebo, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and Supernatural. So doing a chapter of each one and seeing which one I want to finish.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Oh, those are good ones to put on my list. I've listened to, I think it was Supernatural, but yeah, I love his work in general.
So the things that I've like done my whole career, and I've tricked myself mentally, and I've played these mind games with myself the idea of calling myself awesome. It's like the placebo effect of like, then you believe it. And he's putting words and verbalizing things that I've believed and followed my entire career. Yeah. And it's just so fascinating.
So fascinating.
We're more powerful than we can ever fucking imagine.
Right. And I don't know who to attribute the quote to now, but I'll put it in the show notes later. It's our greatest fear is not that we are unworthy, but it's that we're powerful beyond measure. I think it's Marianne Williamson, now that I say it out loud.
Ooh,
Isn't
I
that
like
good?
that. I
Oh,
like that.
so good.
I believe that, and on so many levels, because like, again, whatever confirmation bias, you see your kids arguing, like they're always arguing. And every
Yeah.
time you see them arguing, it's like the toilet seat debate with you and your
Yeah.
husband,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You never notice when he puts the toilet seat down, do you?
No,
Of
but
course you don't.
I mean, in our 12-year relationship, 10, 11 plus years, it's probably been a handful of times that he's left it up. And I remember those handful. But I mean, 11 plus years, not that many times, but I remember going, what the heck? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
But the
funny.
things, those are the things that kind of stick out in our minds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need to train our brains to what we want it to absorb.
Amen. Yes. Okay. So who or what have you learned the most from?
Who or what have I learned the most from? I would say definitely my failures. The whole concept is so in boxing, I've got 39 losses. There's a guy named Roberto Camarelli. He was the number one boxer in the world at the time. He came from Italy to fight me in Reno, Nevada on my own home turf. And Ryan, if you think I'm gonna let someone beat me on my own homeland, you're crazy. I lost that fight. Wasn't even close. I didn't know they fight a lot differently in Europe. They throw punches in a way like I've never, like it comes at like a different angle and I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And it just caught me by surprise. And I got to the locker room and I was like, oh shit, that I got schooled. Like I haven't seen any of that before. And I was like, oh, no one else has in America either. And then I went on like a 32 fight win streak here because I was doing something I learned from one of my losses, one of my failures.
Yeah.
That's one out of my 39 losses. About 2 years ago, I was in the airport, like right after the pandemic, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, he's like, oh, Cam. I'm like, hey, and I'm not famous. So it's like when someone recognizes me, I have to know you. So we're like talking and he's like, you don't remember me, do you? And I was like, oh, my bad. Nah, I don't really remember you. And I feel bad. And he's like, we fought 3 times. I beat him 3 times.
Wow. And you didn't even remember him talking face to face to him.
That's how little we think about our wins.
Wow.
I can tell you all 39 people I lost to.
Yeah. That's impactful. Wow. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for doing the work that you're doing with our youth. Thank you so much for showing up in a loving and open way and just sharing your wisdom. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. You're making it my journal in the morning. Expect an email.
Amazing. Thank you. I love that. And where can we find you, follow you, and learn more about what you do?
You can follow me, learn more about me at camfawesome.com or at camfawesome on everything. If I've said anything that kind of maybe triggered something you thought or something you agree with or disagree with, I would love to know your insight, especially as a parent, because I'm speaking to students. Mm-hmm. So I always want to, just like iTunes, I'm always looking to upgrade and learn more. So yeah, I always love hearing perspectives. So please reach out.
Amazing.